Etches. What are they? What causes them? How do you remove them? How do you prevent them from happening? I want to kind of loosely touch on these subjects to give a little bit more insight as to what they are and how they're created. General rules of thumb, there's always exceptions to the rules, and there's always a if this then that scenario, but as a general overview, an etch is when anything with an acidic pH makes contact with a material that has a degree of calcium. Generally, calcium carbonate stones. So calcium carbonate stones are stones that are created and have a lot of calcium. Such stones are limestone, travertines, marble. Today, we're working on a filled, polished travertine tile floor. And on this floor, you have different degrees of sheen. You have etches in two different areas, and that's what I want to capitalize on. Is I want to show you an etch on a worn out area, and then I'm going to show you an etch on a polished area. The biggest difference and things to keep in mind is, again, back to where's the stone, where's it located, and what you do in it. So for example, if you have a polished travertine floor in your movie theater area, when it comes to theaters and you come to watching a movie, you have popcorn, you have soda, you have beer, you have wine, you have all these different acidic elements. And when it comes to acidity, for those as a general rule of thumb, so you have your pH scale. Your pH scale goes all the way up to 14. 7 down the middle is neutral. Anything below 7, 6.9 on down is acidic. The further away it is from 7, the stronger the acid. So, you know, wine would have 1 pH, lime juice would have another pH, lemons would have another pH, vinegar would have another pH, toilet bowl cleaners would have another pH. So all of these different acidic products have a level of acidity to them, and not all of them are as strong as the other. But what they all have in common is, and back to the general overview, once something acidic makes contact with something that has a degree of calcium, it will etch. No doubt, it will etch. Why does it etch? It etches because there's a chemical reaction between the solution or the acidic solution and calcium that results in an instantaneous chemical reaction that results in etches. Etches are more commonly referred to as watermarks, ring marks, stains, you know, all these different words to describe what an etch is. And at the end of the day, an etch is going to occur if you have these two things in question. Say you were to have this again, you know, in your theater area. Well, that means that when something spills, it's going to end up etching. So now the person would then want to know, well, what can I do to minimize it? Well, there's really nothing you can do to minimize it other than avoiding contact of anything acidic with the stone in and of itself. So even if you were to just drop it right then and there, wipe it up, 2 seconds later, it already happened, it already occurred. 2 things happen during the time of the etching. Number 1 is it leaves that mark, it leaves that stain. And that stain is what's usually referred to as watermarks, ring marks, drips, you know, so on and so forth. And the second thing that it does is it removes that top layer of sealer at that top absorption rate of the stone itself. So what happens is that the next time something spills on that exact same area, it's still sealed, but the top layer of sealer has dwindled away because it got you know, burned off with the original acid stain. So let's just say you were to drop something that's non-acidic but has a pigment. It now allows for that pigment to absorb into the stone, and it can be removable if it stays at, you know, a relatively high level of the stone where you can go ahead and grind it without actually creating a dip. So again, you would now have to decide whether you want it to be polished or you want it to be honed. So I'm going to show you what an etch mark looks like on a honed area. It really wasn't honed, it's just worn off. So I'll show you what an etch mark looks like on a worn off area, and I'll show you what an etch mark looks like on a polished area. And then now it's up to you to go ahead and apply that into the area or location of your home, business, you know, that you're trying to put it in, and then see if you're okay with if it happens, you know, c'est la vie, I'll take care of it at that point in time, we'll restore it, no big deal, I still love it. Or you might say, no, I'm either gonna not put, you know, polished travertine in this area, or I wanna have it matte. So let me show you what that looks like.
So etches is usually really hard to videotape and to show and to illustrate.
So in this particular area, if you look at this floor, you can see that the sheen is really, really low and kind of beat up. As I pull back, now I have to play with the light bulbs. And as I take the light bulb side to side, I am now uncovering and showing you these etch marks that are on the tile in and of itself. So right here, you see that drip, 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 drip. And we keep it going and keep it moving. You're able to see a little bit more of an outline of it in that area. Let's see if I can kind of move around this way so we can get a better look. So now I'll play with these light bulbs, and I'm going to try to position it where we can go ahead and we can see the outline of the etch mark that occurred. And there it is. So you can see where something spilled right here, dropped. You can see right here it flew or it flung where this was this area where it dropped. It spilled this way, it spilled that way, and then you have droplets there, droplet there, droplet here. So in this area right around where the etch occurred, you have all these little droplets. Now you see how difficult it was for me to actually illustrate what an etch is? And I was having that difficulty because there really wasn't much of a polish on this floor, which is why I had to use the light bulb to kind of help illustrate it, because I'm using the light as a form of polish. So the shinier something is, the easier it is to see the imperfections. And in this case, we're talking about an imperfection of an etch. So now I'm going to show you an area where it's polished, and you're going to see I'm going to have no trouble illustrating what an etch looks like in a polished area. So we're going to go ahead and make our way over this way and right over here. You see that circle etch right there? And as you can see, I have the light bulb on it, but it's really not that difficult to illustrate it. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. And the reason why it sticks out like a sore thumb is mainly attributed to a shine, to a polish. So now in one of my previous videos, I go over into, what should you polish, what should you not polish, what should you leave matte, shiny, clean seal, so on and so forth. And this area that we're talking about right here is the pool area. And because of etches like that, in an area where you're gonna have a lot of foot traffic and movement, that's why I would say don't even bother bringing it up to a high polish. It doesn't look bad at all. It looks really, really good right now. It's going to get trashed. It's going to look bad. When it gets etched, when it gets worse, when the shine goes away, then restore it, repolish it, and then just reset. That's the best way to go ahead and make, best use of this tile longevity and keeping it looking good while keeping budget in mind. So with that being said, I do hope that this video was helpful. If you liked, please like, subscribe, or give us a call if we could be a part of your project. Catch you on the next one. Thank you.